entering the space station, intergalactic call sign WFRSDE. Please stand by for frequency assimilation and don't forget to be good. You are now entering the space station, intergalactic call sign WFRSDE. Please stand by for frequency assimilation and don't forget to be good. You are now entering the space station, intergalactic call sign WFRSDE. Please stand by for frequency assimilation and don't forget to be good.
All right, so today we are here with Dino Blank from Laughing River. He's a Tai Chi and meditation teacher from Queens, right here in beautiful New York City. Really great to meet you, man. Thanks so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. Let me make sure that my microphone is in a place that it should be, because I'm a good producer. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how you got started. I do want to go into like your practice and things like that, but first of all, it's always like meeting other people from the city who are into holistic wellness, Eastern philosophy, all these things that kind of get roped under the blanket term of spirituality.
Yes.
It's always interesting because when I was growing up, that was considered just like hippie stuff, and it was just like, no, you stay away. And no, I found a lot of peace and bliss through meditation, through yoga, positive thinking, a lot of books that have helped me, over a few years kind of fall within that genre. So I guess just like from one city kid to another, how did you get into Tai Chi and meditation?
Well, I was about 11 years old when I was first introduced to Jiu-Jitsu, which is a Japanese martial art that utilizes your opponent's strength and their power against them. You incorporate leverages, mechanics in order to kind of offset someone else's physical strength and power. So it's kind of like you're using physics against somebody that's using brawn. Yeah. Right.
It's like sort of like a pen is mightier than the sword situation. You're using your mind, the strongest muscle in your body.
Exactly. And it kind of gave me a lot of confidence as an 11-year-old. It gave me a group to belong to rather than the silliness that was kind of going out in the streets with young people. Mm-hmm. And it gave me a sort of a purpose in my life, which I didn't know at the time, but it was going to be something that I would do for my whole life and teach it. So I've been teaching now for 45 years. Wow, over 45 years. Yeah, I started learning back in 1974. And by the time I was 14, I became a black belt. I became very astute. I learned very quickly. And so by 1974, I was a black belt and started teaching as a teenager.
Wow, you wasted no time.
Yeah, and I kind of, I liked it, and I knew what it could do to help young people get a better bent on life, get a better start. I knew the power of it to help particularly young boys.
Nice. It's always interesting. I think the most New York part of that is the fact that you're like, yeah, I started teaching at 14. Like, we just pick up side hustles in this city at like age 8. If you're from here and like born and raised here, like where you start working at age 6, it doesn't matter what it was. You find something you're good at and you just start doing that. Like for me, it was guitar. I picked up guitar really, really young.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I started playing around the clubs, just doing like Bruce Springsteen covers, Dean Martin, like the stuff my uncle was like. And then from there, just started like building out and doing from cover bands into writing my own music to I actually just dropped my first album this past New Year's. We actually named it after the podcast.
Ah, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a journey, but yeah, you know, it's always cool to see that hustle in somebody else. That like, no, like I'm not doing anything. Like I'm gonna go be better for my community. Why not? Like what else am I really doing? Sitting on the corner and staring at people.
Exactly. Yes. I kind of see it like those, those fairs where you take a water pistol and you aim at the clown's mouth and you shoot in it, right? So like if you put your gun on the target and you start shooting right away, then you'll get success. And that you stick with something, you develop it, you refine it, you keep pursuing it, then you have something of value to offer the community.
For sure. Oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm so glad we're doing this today. Like my new favorite guest is like exactly what I talk about on the show like all the time.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
No, we started the show in the pandemic, like a lot of me and my friends are trying to do, we're all like in our 20s, we're trying to like start our businesses now. We're trying to get out of the like working, flipping burgers and selling shirts at Target and stuff. And we want to like be our own bosses. So like that kind of, I think, nipped a lot of us in the butt to be like, all right, a little bit faster now, because there's not, we don't know if we're going to be here next year. So like, a lot of us started just like whatever we were doing, like the whole country got that like New York mentality of like, all right, I'm good at this kind of, we're going to try that out and see if it does anything. And we started podcasting as just kind of a way to keep in touch with a lot of my folks from like touring and like musician friends, drag queens, like all the artists and entertainers that I was working with in the city that I couldn't see now because I wasn't at the club 4 nights a week, which is why I've lost tremendous amounts of weight and I'm feeling better because I don't drink all the time. Like I'm a whole new man, Dino. I'm a whole new man. I've seen the light. I'm just like, oh my God. I wake up in the morning and I actually want to do things. I wake up in the morning, period, like not 2 in the afternoon. Wow. But no, it started out of that necessity, and we've been growing it, but I'm not gonna, if you're listening, you already know, you've been here. Anyway, we're here to talk about the show. We're here to talk about Laughing River, which is your private practice that you are running out in Elmhurst.
Yes, I have a small studio in Elmhurst, Queens, but I also go into schools. I work with people in hospitals. I work with people who are sick and trying to heal themselves and get themselves strong again. So I have a base where I have my school, but then I also go out into the community and try to share my arts and skills wherever I can.
That's awesome, man. That's great. I definitely remember like seeing a lot of those in the public, because I went to public school growing up, and it was definitely like those like assemblies where like they'd have like a yoga instructor, and they basically would just like, the principal would come out, because this is like the South Bronx. So you just come out and be like, listen, I know that the streets is hard. All right, I understand. It's tough. We're gonna show you some. I hope this resonates with you. Like I'm gonna give you something. Just please stop hurting each other, please. Okay. And then a fight would break out in that assembly, and then we have to have another assembly about that assembly. It's just like, it was, but no, that was definitely one of like the highlights of school, was when you all, like, everyone got poured into that room to like just meet whoever they decided to have. So sometimes they were great, sometimes it was something worthwhile like this, where it's like, here's how to like handle a lot of those like child emotions that you're going through right now. And then sometimes it was just like, yo, go sell this chocolate on the street. But yeah, I would much rather sit and watch yours than that. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, thank you.
If I had to choose. One thing that I do want to ask about your practice, internal shadow boxing meditation. That sounds like a fighting move from a video game, and I have to ask about it.
Okay, yeah, it's a very interesting style of meditation. I came upon and discovered this this meditation by taking a cold bath. So I used to live in the Lower East Side, and often the water would become cold, like totally cold. It was a cheap apartment, and it had like drafty windows and stuff. And so one day I just went for a run. I came back. I wanted to take a bath because we didn't have a shower. It was just a bathtub,
Yeah.
So I turned on the water, went to go take off my clothes, come back to go into the bath. It was full, but it was ice cold. So I was like, oh, again, the water's cold, God dog it. And so I says, you know, Dino, you're a black belt. You should be able to go into this cold bath regardless. So I says, okay, that's a challenge, all right? So I go into the bathtub and all of a sudden I start to hyperventilate. I start to, and my heart starts to beat really fast. And I feel like I'm gonna die right there in the bathtub because the water was just ice cold and the whole apartment was cold. So I said to myself, okay, Dino, you wanna stay in the tub, but we can't. We wanna run out of the tub. So I says to myself, you practice jujitsu. Jujitsu means the gentleness art, because ju means gentleness, weakness, softness, and jitsu means art. So I says, okay, so what would be the weak thing to do right now? And so I realized running out of the bathtub would be the weakest thing to do. So I said to myself, if I run out of the bathtub, I gave myself a challenge, so I would lose my challenge to myself. So I'm in a dilemma. So I says, yes, there's another aspect of me besides my physical body. There's my mental state. So I realized that I could run on the inside. In my imagination, I could run. So while I'm in the bathtub, I'm imagining myself jogging and running, and then I realize my heart starts to calm down. My breathing starts to slow down. I was like, wow, this is very interesting. When I run in my mind, usually running in the physical world would speed up your heart. But when I'm doing it now, while my heart is racing, I'm having the opposite effect. Somehow the running is absorbing the energy that the cold water was giving me and making me kind of overwhelmed with the energy. So now also too, I noticed that while I'm running in my mind is not chattering like, you're gonna die, you stupid idiot, you shouldn't have got into the bathtub with cold water, you're getting old, you can't do this kind of stuff. So all that negative thought started to quiet down because now my mind is occupied creating the image of running. So I do a test. I said to myself, okay, now what happens if I take a bucket of water, because I used to have like a little bucket to like throw over myself when I took a bath. So I picked up some cold water in the bucket, I threw it over my head, and so my heart starts to speed up while I'm running in my mind. So I says, okay, what's gonna happen now if I take the bucket, throw it over my head, and at the instant that I throw it over my head, I sprint in my mind, increase the intensity. And so I did that, and I threw the water over my head, heart stays calm, breath stays calm. So after that moment, forever after that, I realized that the controlling the images inside our mind to sort of absorb the energy that our body feels is a way to be in harmony with our environment.
We are back here at WFRSDE, the space station. Apologies, before the break, we were talking to Dino Blanche from Laughing River about internal shadow boxing meditation. That is absolutely, that's like one of the coolest things that I think I've learned like while studying meditation, whatever you want to call reading about it, just like the ways that people are able to basically come to the same conclusion, but from such different places. Right? Because like that mind over matter mentality, obviously you said stems from try that again. It stems from jujitsu, which is like not native to our island, but is it's something that everyone from us to the Wu-Tang Clan to the really rich ladies in Greenpoint, like they all practice the same thing, because all it really is saying is that you are more powerful than you think you are, you're stronger than you think you are, give yourself credit for. It really is all in how you perceive strength and how you perceive weakness.
Yes. Yes.
So another thing that I wanted to talk to you about in terms of mood maintenance. Going back to that, all these people are obviously coming to you for online classes now. I'm sure with the pandemic, business is absolutely booming because everyone's beyond stressed out and needs guidance. So I guess I have a bunch of questions for you in terms of like how you would recommend handling a lot of this, but I guess what it really boils down to is the most important thing I want to get from my listeners is from someone who is skilled in the ways of mood maintenance, mental maintenance, keeping things in check, keeping calm. A lot of folks, I think their biggest complaint with these practices is that they take up too much time. I don't have an hour a day to put on yoga pants and stretch. And like, they think it's like a huge production that you have to like buy things for. And it's like a whole, like, you have to have the mat. Like I bought this just because I thought it was cool. It was a goof. Gladly meditate on the floor, like just wherever. Like I used to meditate like in a field. So like, what is, a hardwood floor? But I think really what I want to try to get for people is, for those people who do say they just don't have time. They're like, I can't. No, I'm the busiest person in the world. Like I just crap myself. I don't even go to the bathroom. That's how busy I am. What would you recommend that person do to, I guess, sort of make time for peace and quiet and like just tranquility?
Let's see. I would recommend that they could start with, maybe 5 minutes of their time to take themselves aside. Now, the other thing is that the true practice of the art is to be able to do it throughout your day. I mean, when you're at work, when you're engaged in everyday life, there are plenty of opportunities to practice. But oftentimes, I think that people are correct in that the way that some of these arts are taught is that they encourage you to set a specific time away to practice. That's important. But what's also important is being able to recognize how to use what little skills you have developed in your everyday life, because that's where it has its most pertinence and meaning, is in your everyday life. So for example, you go to a meeting where, let's say it's a business meeting, and everybody around the table is offering to speak about their business, right? Now, there's a moderator that might be judging you and how well you speak about your business. But everybody at the table is going to be a little nervous because they can mess up, right? They can stand up, say their little bit about their business, but yet there's a lot riding on that. And so people get nervous. And so if you're there, you're going to feel that nervous energy yourself, both because you have something to lose and because you can feel it in the room. Everybody's like knee is shaking. They're kind of, you can feel how people are nervous. And so like that's an opportunity there, right? At that moment, your own heart may start to beat fast. And so what do? You know that if I speak while my heart is beating fast, I'm going to fail. I'm going to stutter. I'm going to miss the points that I want to make, and my name is going to be mud. So at a situation like that, it's a perfect time to understand that your weakness is actually your strength. And that the fact that you have your heart moving like this is that it's trying to tell you to be in harmony with it, right? Because the heart is saying danger, but you're saying, no, it's not dangerous. You're kind of fooling yourself. Yeah, it's a civilized situation, but yet you feel your heart beating, and like now you kind of wish you didn't even have a heart because it's now going to be a problem for you.
Right.
So at a situation like that, just like I was talking about before, the cold bath, you have to find, well, what does my heart want me to do? If I was totally weak and allowed myself to do whatever I wanted to do, what would that be? and then you have to follow that. But you do it on the inside, right? You can do it inside your imagination so that you don't have to do it in public, right? And so the fight or flight syndrome of your heart speeding up like that, maybe you want to fight on the inside. That's okay. So it's more like a discovery rather than it's this separate, isolated environment that you have to take yourself to and practice and then become some perfect guy that can come into the world and have no troubles. No, it doesn't work that way.
Like a superhero. It's me, fully enlightened man.
Yes,
Like,
exactly,
nuts.
exactly, exactly. And so people don't want to do that because you know what? It can't be done.
Well, I think they think of it like working out, right? Like you have to do it for a while, and then you start to see the effects. And it is like there is a physical component to it, but it's the treating all of that for, I guess, call it like psychic damage, like all of that, like just stuff in your head. It's telling you that like you're not good enough, or that like you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. The situation that like you just go home and try it another time. All that, all the doubt. All that's in your mind. So like, it really is just that shift of perspective. It's not ignoring the situation. It's just this way of handling it is not working. I got to go with my gut because clearly what I'm trying to do is not natural to how I would solve this situation. You know, we're human beings, but human beings are just like any other animal. We use the tool set that we have to accomplish tasks, right? So if that's the way that your mind works, if it's to say, like, I know when I was doing sales meetings, part of why I did well but never got promoted was because like sales-wise, I was great. I was selling to guys from New York for a solar company. So like, that's just like talking to my uncle all day. But because I carry myself in a certain way and I'm a little more lax about the way that I talk, I wasn't considered like I was not management material. But just, it wasn't that I was doing anything wrong. It just wasn't the environment for me. Like I was never going to be, Mr. Clean Cut Tie and all that. I had to go be that, person somewhere else for myself, not for a larger conglomerate. And that was where things started to work out. Like the show started to, do things. And I won't say I've made it because that's a fucking bold lie, but I'm doing better than I was last year. And last year I did a little bit better than the year before that. And I think that's the key thing that people need to remember is that like, you're still here. There is a chance to succeed as long as you're still breathing and you're still here.
Yes, I agree with you. The ideal of like being the perfect often kind of ruins the excellent beauty of who you are with your flaws, with your frailties, with your weaknesses. And I think, people do want to move, it's something that feels good. But when they have a perfect ideal of how they should move and how they should meditate or how they should be, from the practice, then they often discourage themselves because they have an ideal which they don't feel like they match, so why do it? But I think the idea of learning, to be a little gentle with yourself and to, fulfill yourself, meaning, there's a lot of joy in practicing these things. It's not just rigorous discipline, and learning how to find the joy in the practice is what encourages you and keeps you practicing. And so the skill sets are more finding how to enjoy what you're doing rather than, sheer discipline that then ultimately you'll rebel from.
For sure. I think that was definitely where I learned a lot of, I was in Catholic school and I picked the worst time to study Buddhism, which was at Santa Maria School on Zariga Ave in the Bronx. Like just not like a conducive environment either. Like I just keep finding myself in situations where I'm like, if I was just like a little bit to the left or right of where I am right now, it would be perfect. But I'm just like, the aesthetics are bogging down what's happening. But I read The Tao of Pooh by Benjamin Hoff, which is a children's book he wrote in the 80s, I think, that taught Taoism through the Winnie the Pooh characters. One of my favorite books. I picked it up right after my dad actually passed away. He was a Con Edison worker, foreman. Back in 2004, he was in that manhole cover explosion uptown. And I was struggling with that. I was 11 years old, and like I was just kind of like figuring out who I was. And like now, like this like support system is gone. It's just like me and my mom. Like that's it, And that book really helped me ground myself, because all of that, like everything's falling apart, like all that, it calmed it, because it was like, no, like you're gonna be okay. This really sucks. Pain hurts. Suffering really hurts. Suffering is the worst thing in the world. But in a way, it's not, because it's what teaches you to grow. So like, you can either let this beat you up and like destroy you as a person, or you can let something beautiful grow out of it and just become who you want to be. And I got into music, and I made a bunch of amazing friends, and now I get to do this for a living, which is like incredible. Yeah, and I don't want to sell that as like that. And then everything worked out. Things were hard. Things are hard. I literally just told you, now my dog is in the hospital with pneumonia, and I've been struggling with that all week. And you want to talk about psychic damage. That dog is my whole life, man. I've had the dog for 6 years. Like, I got that dog before I was old enough to drink, and now I'm like an adult, and like this dog is like, I put her up on Park Slope at Vert, best hospital in the city. It's like a really fancy one where like the rich old gay couples, they have the nice poodles. That's what they Oh man, she's staying at the Ritz. She's at the spa right now. She's killing it. They're like, oh, we got her like shredded caviar. I'm like, yeah, I bet you, like, all this beautiful, amazing non-GMO dog food, where she's just eating like manna from heaven every day while I eat pizza in our apartment. But it's like, even in that, like being able to laugh at that and know that like there are multiple possible, tangents from my point right now. She could be totally fine. She could not be. The doctors, what I choose to focus on is that the doctors have said that she's doing great. I might even be able to take her home today, tomorrow at the latest.
All right, good news.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And I needed to hang on to that. Like, this whole week has been rocky, but just maintaining that, like, it's going to be fine. It is what it is. That's the most like New York shit you can say. That's just it. It is what it is, bro. That's all of Taoism in one sentence. It's terrible. We don't have time. We take philosophy and we crush it into, what are you gonna do? I did want to get a little more insight before we go into this demonstration that we're gonna do. And everyone's gonna watch me slip and fall. Twitter is very excited for this. As are all of my bandmates. They're like, his dopey little Italian butt's gonna fucking tipsy tumble. But before we get into that, I did want to make sure that we plug, where to find your business and how people can get in touch with you. What is the best way to get in contact with you if folks want to start taking classes or have any questions?
Well, they can do it two ways. They can call me at 718-397-9111, or they can email me at info@thelaughingriver.com.
Dina, I need you to do me a huge favor. I need you to say the phone number again, louder and clearer, because I'm gonna make you a jingle for the ad breaks.
Okay. So it's 718-397-9111. And my email is info@thelaughingriver.com.
Awesome. I'm gonna sample that and put it in a thing. It's gonna be dope. All right. That's the time for the edit. All right, awesome. Thanks so much for that. I'm gonna get my situation settled for this. Obviously I don't have a whole studio, so I'm gonna make some noise real quick and cut around this. I can go over there. And put that over here so I don't fall. Oh no. All right, I think I have enough room. I think I'm centered.
Yeah, so Tai Chi is very slow. So what we're going to do is we're going to coordinate our movement with our breathing. So to begin with, we're going to breathe in, bring your fingers up.
Okay.
Breathe out, fingers down. Breathe in, arms up. Now bring them back towards your shoulders. Bend your knees and push forward, breathe out. Now from here, we're going to hold the ball with your left hand on top. Breathe in. Turn the ball with right hand on top. Breathe out. Turn the ball with left hand on top. Breathe in. Put two hands behind the ball. Push to the corner. Breathe out. Good, good. Now from here, open. Make a circle around the sides to the top. Close, breathe out. and rest. All right, we're gonna do that again. Ready? Breathe in, fingers up. Breathe out, fingers down. Breathe in, arms up. Bring it back towards the shoulders. Now bend the knees and push, breathe out. From here, hold the ball with left hand on top. Breathe in. Turn the ball with right hand on top. Breathe out. Turn the ball with left hand on top. Breathe in. Put two hands behind the ball. Push to the corner. Breathe out. Open from here. Breathe in. Circle the hands to the top. Close. Breathe out. Good, let's do that again. Breathe in, fingers up. Breathe out, fingers down. Breathe in, arms up. Bring it back towards your shoulders. Now bend the knees and push, breathe out. Hold the ball with left hand on top, breathe in. Turn the ball with right hand on top, breathe out. Turn the ball with left hand on top, breathe in. Put two hands behind the ball. Push to the left corner, breathe out. Very good, new movement. Hold the ball with left hand on top, breathe in. Pick up the left toe, turn on the heel. Now lift the right knee as you turn the ball with right hand on top, breathing out. Very good. Two hands on top of the ball, breathe in. Step to the side, chop towards the back of the room with your right hand, breathe out. From here, pivot on your heels towards the front of the room, turn your palms up, breathe in, feet forward, hands to the top, breathe out, let them down slowly. Slowly. Very good. Let's do that again. Ready? Breathe in, fingers up. Breathe out, fingers down. Breathe in, arms up. Shoulder height. Now bring them back towards the shoulders. Turn the palms, bend the knees and push, breathe out. Hold the ball with left hand on top, breathe in. Turn the ball with right hand on top, breathe out. Turn the ball with left hand on top, breathe in. Put two hands behind the ball. Push to the left corner, breathe out. Hold the ball again with left hand on top, breathe in. Pick up the left toe. Turn on the left heel. Now lift the right knee as you turn the ball with right hand on top, breathe out. Two hands on top of the ball, breathe in. Step to the side, chop towards the back of the room, breathe out with your right hand chopping. Breathe in, pivot on your heels to the front of the room. Step forward, circle to the top. Breathe out, let the hands down slowly. Good, let's do that again. Ready, breathe in, fingers up.
I don't think I need this mat anymore. Leveling up.
Say again.
So leveling up.
Yeah. Breathe in, fingers up. Breathe out, fingers down. Breathe in, arms up. Back towards your shoulders. Now, turn your palms, bend the knees and push, breathe out. Hold the ball with left hand on top, breathe in. Turn the ball with right hand on top, breathe out. Turn the ball with left hand on top, breathe in. Put two hands behind the ball. Push to the left corner, breathe out. Turn the ball with left hand on top, breathe in. Pick up the left toe, turn on the heel. Now lift the right knee as you turn the ball with right hand on top, breathe out. Two hands on top of the ball, breathe in. Step to the side. Chop towards the back of the room with your right hand. Breathe out. Pivot on your heels towards the front of the room. Breathe in. Circle around. Step forward to the top. Breathe out. Let them down slowly. And feet together and rest. Very good, very good. You did great. You're doing great.
Thank you so much, Dino. That was awesome.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, appreciate you, man. All the love in the world. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Feel free to come back anytime and teach us more how to not be jerks.
Thank you, thank you.
Bye, man.
All right, you take care.
All right, cool. Awesome, Dino. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Welcome back to WFRSDE, the space station. You're here with Eddie Crash. We have a very special guest in the station today, all the way from the West Coast. Lynn is here. Thank you so much for speaking with us and taking time to be in our little satellite office. Really appreciate that. So for those of you who aren't into cool music like me, Lynn makes some of the dopest synth music I've ever heard. So for a while, it's like really anti this stuff. I was that douche who was like, guitars, this is all rock and roll and it's organic, it's live, man. And then like, I don't know, like there's a couple artists that I started to get into. Your stuff is definitely in that like sphere. Although I was like, oh, this is like the most creative thing I've ever heard. This is incredible. And then I found out on TikTok that you just like do things, you just like make stuff and like have these collections of synths. So I'll stop rambling and gushing. But first I wanted to ask, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Just been cleaning up around the house today. Well, I have the day to be free and do stuff, you know. But yeah, it's pretty sunny here, so maybe I'll take a walk after this.
It's always good to get out and get some fresh air. I did want to ask, so I'm trying to like really truncate what you do. And like that's really A, it does not do service to what you do, and B, I think it's actually kind of impossible. So here, let me just open it to you. Who is Lynn? You explain it to us in the audience.
Gotcha. Lynn is a project that I've been working on since I was in, I think 11th or 12th grade in high school, and I'm 24 now, so it's gone through some stages for sure. And I used to work at a music venue, and the person that I was dating at the time like made just like lo-fi music, and I thought it was really cool, and they got like lots of recognition for it, and like I was like, dang, like this is like, I saw like her setup and how she did it, and I was like, I can totally do this. Like I took piano lessons as a kid, like I can figure out how to like make my own music too. And like you were saying earlier, like I've never played a guitar. There's not a guitar in like a single one of my songs, like nor have I even really ever been in bands that like have had guitars. Like guitars are cool, but I'm kind of anti-guitar as far as like my own stuff goes. But anyways, I'm rambling. So I don't know, just over the years.
You bad mouth my baby right here.
Okay. My boyfriend plays a guitar too. I don't dislike the guitar. I don't know how to play it, and I don't really feel like it has a place in my sound. But anyways, over the years, like I've just kind of like just been inspired by different songs and different albums and stuff, and kind of just like put them into something that like I think my sound is pretty unique to me, and I wouldn't even really know how to categorize it in a genre, but I don't know, we're still working on it, and every album is different.
I think every album does get a little bit better. I like that too. And it's not to say the other ones are worse. It's just like seeing the new ideas that you're exploring is always really, really cool, especially since I started with I had to work my way back. In Rooms was obviously the first one that I was into. That's the song that you put on TikTok. That was like the first single where I was exposed to your work, and then just like devoured all of it. Because you do have a very unique sound. I really can't place it, because there's something so human about an instrument that by design is not human.
Yeah,
I want to ask you every question about your recording process right now, but A, I know that's unpofessional, and B, we'd be here for like 3 days.
Fair, but honestly, my recording process is like extremely simple. I record in GarageBand. I have a USB microphone that's from Guitar Hero that I've always used, and I literally have like 3 keyboards, and they're just children's keyboards from the 80s. Like that's kind of like my whole setup. Like there's nothing really beside that. And then I don't know, like once I record, like I like to go back in and like manipulate my voice and do like, I don't know, my favorite thing about my songs is that like for any like given song, there's like at least 20 vocal tracks just like of me like building my voice, and I double everything and pan it to the sides, and like, but I don't know, like it's fairly simple. Like when just technology wise, like I'm using pretty much nothing. I don't know.
Honestly, same. And I think that's part of why I like your work so much, because I just put out my first album on New Year's, and the biggest comment that for me was a comment was that much people, oh, what studio did you record? And I was like, nowhere, bro, this is my apartment. This mic and that computer from 2002. When I first started in like high school, I used a Rock Band mic, but it was the same thing. I was like, oh, cool, it's a USB. It'll plug into my laptop. It records. Dope.
It has like a really good sound quality too, honestly. Like I don't think I could ever switch it out for anything else. It's so simple. And I got it for like $3 like when I was like 16. So I don't know.
Can't beat that. It's punk rock aesthetics. I think it's because it has like that pitch like detection software in it. It has to like do that for like the vocal, and like it has to cater to people who can't sing. But it really is like a really solid USB mic for no reason. Like it works really well.
I know. It really is. I'll stick with that for now.
Clearly it's working. We're on album 4. Is that right?
What'd you say?
We're on album 4, right? For you.
As far as the amount of albums that I've released?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I've released like probably around 10 at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, like some of them are like EPs, and like I took a lot of my beginning work and like compiled it into like 8-song like compilations or whatever. But yeah, I've probably put out about 10 releases at this point.
Nice, solid. Love to see that. No, I think it is a very the way that your keys are layered always really cool. Your vocals are like, I mean, they're unmistakable. Like nobody's gonna sound like that. Like it's like just you. And like that, I think that's like the thing that really, I'm very like drawn to creative people, because obviously by nature of my work, it's who I interview. But like before all this, I worked in a lot of music venues as well. Yeah. And that's always by far like my favorite kind of person who comes into a venue, where you're like, it's like, yeah, I do this, but like it's just like a thing that I do. Like there is no like formal, it's just like, no, I just sit down and then I make it, and sometimes it's good, and then that's the stuff that goes out.
Exactly. And a lot of the times like I sit down and I record a song and I'm like, hell yeah, like I was really stoked on that originally, but like I don't like it. So I just trash it, and I just try it again later, like either with like different chords, like once I feel more inspired by something, or like just switch the lyrics around. Like a lot of my most of my lyrics like are about the same general concept. So like a lot of the time, like I just said, if I like record a song and I don't like it, I'll just like chop and splice up lyrics with like other like songs and poems that I've written, and just like compile one that like works better. Like, I don't know.
No, I mean, that's
like,
the process, man.
Improvised. Yeah. I mean, like for the most part, at least.
Totally. There was one. So I also know that your other trade that you're into. So this was actually how I heard about you first. It wasn't any of the synth stuff. I found that after. The ACAB rug that you made.
Yeah.
Yo, fire, flames. Yo, if you haven't, it's like, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. The Gothic script. You kidding me? That goes so hard. Is that like? Was that like a
tattoos and stuff?
Love it. Is that like a trade that you did for work, or did you just like pick that up as like, I'm in like Washington and this is what we do? We just have hobbies that like no one else has.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always like loved like doing yarn stuff. Like I have a shit ton of yarn, and I always make stuff out of yarn, and like I do a ton of different crafts. Like I just like move through them, and whenever I get bored, I'll learn another one, and then I'll come back to stuff. And I don't know. I like got into like making rugs like a few years ago, and I was doing them by hand. But then like through TikTok, I think like I saw like the machine that I was using, and I was like, that's sick. Like I need that. So one of my friends, like he works in like construction and like wood fabricating, and so I was like, hey, can you make me like a frame so that I can use like my new rug tufting gun like on the frame? And he was like, hell yeah, I'm super down. And then I was like, I'll trade you like a rug for it. Like, what do you want? And he was like, make me an ACAB rug, like sick. And I was like, cool, like I'd love to. So yeah, in that video, I was like making 2 different rugs on the same like frame at the same time. And this one is like for my friend who still hasn't come down to San Diego to claim it, but I just hung it up in my apartment for the meantime.
Nice. Well, it looked absolutely gorgeous. It was what got me. And then ironically, you saying like that, you got the gun thing from TikTok. There's an omnicord on the way to this apartment, and man, that's kind of your fault.
I love that though. I got my omnicord a couple years ago. Like before, they were like, I don't want to say, I mean, they've always been really cool, but like before the price got hiked up on them, and I like found one on Craigslist, and I was like so freaking excited because like I don't know, I surf YouTube a lot and like just like watch different like people and artists and their recording processes and shit like that, and I saw somebody using an omnichord and I was like, what is that? Like I need that. And so obviously like I just went and got one probably like the next day or the day after that. But yeah, I'm
Nice.
kind of like that with instruments. I just like impulsively buy them. Like I've got a theremin on its way right now, which will
Oh, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. I want one so bad. It's so cool.
And I was like, oh, it was so fun. And I don't know, I like just finally decided to buy one for myself because I've wanted my own for literally ever.
There was so we just got this apartment in Brooklyn. We were in New England towards the beginning of the pandemic. I went home to help with my folks. And when I started building the station out, I had all these crazy like sketch ideas that I would, design with different instruments and things like that. And my husband had to sit me down and politely tell me that no, we cannot have a 3-foot Tesla coil in our apartment. But it's a theremin too. It's like that big, and it's got sparks and it makes music. And I want it because if you burn down this building, I swear, I was like, it's not. If I learn how to do it right, it'll be fine. I just make sure to do that.
Yeah, I think you should sneak it in while he's not there. I think you should just do it anyways.
I think I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna try to build one, and that way I can just do it gradually. And then when it comes home, it's like, oh, whoops,
oh, sorry, yeah.
But it's with the omnichord. It's great. One of our producers made fun of me because he was like, "Oh, great, it's another." So I just started doing producing. I was just a songwriter and performer before the pandemic, and I am not the best piano player. I took like one class for it in high school and I was bad at it, really mostly guitar and drums. And my producer was like, oh, great. It's another way for you to avoid learning how to play piano because it just does all the chords for you. It's like, sure, but like, as long as there's a good song at the end of it, does the how really matter? Like that's,
it really doesn't.
So I do have questions about your some of your songs that I hope that's okay.
I'm gonna,
Let's see. Oh yeah. So to show you like how like lackluster my notes are I wanted to ask you like Jinx, you owe me a half pint, but then Walking with My Eyes Closed came on after, and I forgot about every other song that I heard today because I went through all of it just to like kind of like refamiliarize myself and then take some more pertinent notes. And it's just like, this alcohol keeps fucking up my symmetry. Bars. Because that line, you just out of nowhere, you hit that line. This alcohol keeps fucking up my symmetry. I'm like, yo, that is fucking gangster. What? Like some Kendrick Lamar shit. So good. But a deliberate sadness to the piano work. What?
Oh, I just pulled up my lyrics like on my Bandcamp because I like am really good at like not remembering which song is which. You know what I mean? So I'm like referencing what you're saying at the same time.
Nice. But no, I think that really is the crux of all this stuff and why I appreciate there's no other way to describe the piano work that I've heard over, the past few months, but obviously over the past 24 hours of like working on this project. It's like it's just this deliberate sadness to everything that even if I know the lyrics are like a little more upbeat, it's just, you really hit it. Because that's what I mean by something inorganic sounding organic. What makes it, as you like with the piano, it's the texture, right? It's if you hit it if you hit it heavy, it sounds heavy. If you hit it light, it sounds light. With a synth, it's a little more like it's artificial. So they have that texture, and sometimes mostly it's just that. So when that piano picks up towards the end of that song, exasperation. I felt that like in that moment. This is crazy. This is art.
Thanks.
So what did Walking with My Eyes Closed? Do you remember any of the inspiration behind that?
Yeah, I'm reading it. I mean, a lot of this. Okay, so this album, this time last year, like literally like this time last year, you know what I mean? I like left a relationship that was like 4 years long, and it like kind of like wasn't the best at like near the end, and I also like experienced some like assault, and so this song or like this album was about that, and just like how my alcoholism like has like spiraled out of control, both like from that and like from the pandemic, like this song was like essentially just like written at my rapist. So like, yeah.
Fuck that, dude. Hope he gets fucking COVID and some terrible, awful biblical shit happens to you, bro. Because how the fuck you gonna be? Nah. And
but also like these songs are all my songs are sigils. Like, sigils, like they hold energy, and like I believe that all my songs are that. So
I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
And thank you for being honest and like and
Yeah,
being
no
willing to
worries.
share that. Like that, obviously,
Yeah.
I'm sorry that that happened. I wish there was more I could say. I am sorry that that happened.
Okay. Yeah,
But
I'm super honest because I feel like upon listening to my music, like a lot of like what I'm writing about is like somewhat obvious and like I don't know, I feel happy being honest about my music because I don't know, that's like an easy thing to be honest in. Not only just like because it's like sort of coded, but like I don't know. I hope that people that listen to these songs sometimes can sort of like empathize with what I'm saying or like feel comforted like in that.
totally. And I think that is where a lot of it resonates because I'm probably not the only person. I went on Twitter and I talked to a few of your fans.
On
Just kind
Twitter?
of, yeah, there's people are talking about you all over Twitter, girl. You were very
Wait, really?
popular.
Oh my
12,000 a
gosh.
month. Thank you very much.
Well, okay, so for instance, I don't have a fucking Twitter, right? I don't have a Twitter. But yesterday, or I think it was 2 days ago, somebody was like making these mean memes about me on Twitter and using my face. And I was like, what the fuck?
Oh
I'm not even on Twitter.
no.
Like,
Yeah, if you can talk shit, come do it to my face. The fuck is really good.
right? Like, don't use my face, first of all. But like, second of all, like, it's fine if you think I'm annoying. Just like hit not interested and keep scrolling. But like, don't go and be a dick about it. Like, don't use my face. Like people, like my friends were like sending it to me, and I was like, that's like really uncomfortable. Like, have I made it? Like, I don't know.
Well, I didn't see any of those. I saw very kind things. I saw people like
But
reflecting, saying like I was in a really bad place, and I started listening to In Rooms and just having that. I think the thing is that people tend to think that if you listen to sad music, it will make you more sad, right? It's kind of like masturbating your own feelings. I don't agree because the thing is that if you're coming from it from a genuinely cathartic place of I
yeah,
resonate with this because I'm feeling these feelings right now, dude, that's basically you walking into these people's homes and just being like, yo, it's gonna be okay. Like,
it's okay.
I felt sad, you felt, we all feel sad. It's the human
Yeah,
experience.
of
I've
course.
been a wreck all week, and it's probably why I've been listening to so much of your tunes, like on repeat, and a bunch of other stuff too. A lot of Flaming Lips, a lot of like just
There you
really
go.
synth heavy, like just spacey kind of stuff. And it's just, you know, it's one of those things of like it really does make you feel better because it's just knowing that somebody else out there feels these feelings too can
Yeah.
really help. I used to work for a place called Musical Intervention, episode 2, if anyone wants to check that out. My buddy Adam is the founder of that. And his whole thing is people exploring the song in them. His theory is that everyone in the world, no matter who they are, it doesn't matter how famous, how poor, how whatever, evil, good, doesn't matter. Everyone has a song inside of them, even if they're not a musician, and letting that song out can change your entire life. And sometimes that means that song took off and it did well. Sometimes it's just, I had a really bad day and I had to get this out, and that person walks out of there feeling like a whole new person. Yeah, so I think that your music really does speak to the power that that does have, especially going through such rough things and still being able to create something so beautiful out of it is really, really admirable.
Yeah, I really pride myself on that. Honestly, like I really like appreciate that like I listen to my own music a lot. And like when I'm sad, I listen to my own music because I can relate to it and it's like for me and people like me, you know? Like I don't know. I don't know if like other people listen to their own music, but like I like to, you know, I wrote it and I like it. So
Like if you didn't enjoy it, you wouldn't put it out. I've listened to the album a couple times. Like there are some songs where like I want to give it some time because it was really like emotional. Like there's a song at the end of the record that I wrote specifically for my dad like 4 years ago. I was in a studio for Sony, French Montana stable, and they wanted to turn it into an R&B song. And I was like, that's kind of weird because it's this very like if you go back, it's called Broken Gospel. It's on Bandcamp. I'll put the link in the details. But it's this very like sad, slow, like optimistic, but it's about an 11-year-old losing their father and like looking for him in the stars, like being like, they said he's up there, but I don't fucking see him. Like that doesn't help me that he's just like out there somewhere. And they turned it into the most like robotic, pop polished, like Adele, Rihanna, like belt tune. I was like, that's not
it.
That's not what that was for. And I walked out, it like messed up. Like, dude, I had my career like a year-long pause, and then like we moved to New York and I started. But yeah, it was just it destroyed it for me. But
reclaim
we recorded. Yeah, we recorded that, and I've listened to it once before. I listened to the final mix before it went out, but like I think I need some time before. But no, I think there's nothing wrong with that, especially when you make such weirdly specific stuff. You're like, well, if no one else is going to listen to this, I will. And then you do, and you're like, yeah, okay, well, I enjoy it, so hopefully somebody else will too.
And that's like what I thought too. Like my music has been on Bandcamp since I was 16. like for this specific project. I was like right on the cusp of 16 and 17. But anyways, my music has been on my Bandcamp since I was like in high school. But then like only very recently, like I've always wanted to put it on Spotify, but I just like never really got around to it. And I didn't like that you had to pay to like upload it and stuff. So eventually like one of my friends put their project on Spotify and I was like, fuck it. Like I'll just like throw it on there, you know? And like that's kind of like when it started taking off. And then like once I was like hearing like supportive things about it and stuff, which was really nice.
Always good to hear positive feedback. We tried Submit Hub, so I haven't really been getting a lot of that this week. It's everyone telling us that we're too weird. I'm like, I know, that's why I wrote it. Give me another note.
All the better.
Like, oh, really? The space indie hip hop album? Yeah, that's too weird. No, I'm so shocked that that's not like something you've heard before.
Even better.
So the In Rooms video, you just released a music video a little while ago for your single In Rooms off of the last record, and Then I Was Alone Again. What was the process between behind shooting that video?
Well, I have like 8 music videos at this time, and all of them have just been me. Well, originally for the first like 6 or 7, I was using my dad's like old like VHS camera, like the one that he recorded my sister and I when we were like kids. Like I got it from him and I was just using that. I don't know. And then like for the last one I used my sister's like actual like Canon like camera, like a DSLR I think it's called. And my process for that was like I just moved to a new apartment and I went over to my old apartment. And I just had my camera and a tripod and I kind of like I had my phone and I was playing the song like on repeat while I was kind of just like lip syncing and like just like sitting in different places in the apartment. And like I probably like listened to the song like 20 times over while I was like getting different footage for it. And then like I just like kind of like I had the intention to splice it all up once it was done. So like I had some parts be calmer, some parts be like weirder. And then like I had this part where I was like running all over the apartment like while recording myself like selfie style. And I don't know, I just like wanted to create something that like was cool. And like that song was like about things that happened at that apartment. So like it just felt natural to go and just like shoot some sort of video like there before it was like the last day that I had the keys is like when I shot that video. I think I got the inspiration for that like concept by a music video that Angel Olsen did. I think, what was hers called? I think it was called Windows. And like, I don't know, I just like saw it on YouTube and I was like, dang, that's like a really cool concept. And so, well, yeah, she just like had a few of the same shots that I did. So I like took that as inspiration and like made my whole video out of like just a few shots that she did in that video. So yeah. And then I went home and edited it on iMovie and it took me like a couple hours and then I just like synced it all up so that like the lip syncing matched the song itself. And yeah, I don't know, just took me an afternoon and then I released it and I was like, I don't know, I think it turned out pretty okay, just as far as like literally doing it all by myself.
I think it came out great. And I think I like that you stick to that like DIY aesthetic of like, no, this is like what I have. Why am I gonna act like why? So I can go pay like all this money for Adobe and it'll look exactly the same. Yeah, like everyone's teasing me because I don't use Ableton because I still use Audacity. Why? It's worked. It worked when I was 14. It worked when I was 21. It's gonna work when I'm 50.
I totally agree with that. Like when I started playing music, like I started playing music in like the DIY scene, and like originally I was like in bands and stuff, but like I've always just done this Lynn solo project on the side. But like I just really liked like just using what you had, and like lots of people like shared like my band that I was in was like sharing a drum kit with like 2 other bands, and like I don't know like none of us like wanted to go out and like buy expensive stuff, and like when we didn't have like a drum kit we just like banged on pots and pans outside, you know, like for like I don't know, it's just like that
no, it's great. I used to play folk punk. I'm fully with you 110%. I booked Radar Ghosts at the club that I worked at and it drove my boss insane. He goes, so they're not using the sound system? No. They're not gonna plug in at all? No. They're just gonna stand 13 of them, 13 people in the band, they're all gonna stand in a circle in the middle of the room and just play like old like shanty music. Yes.
Sounds like Jordan Mason in the Headless Horse Museum to me. I love it.
So they were great. Yeah, no, they were awesome. It was fun. They had like this like whole routine, choreography, all that. That was the beautiful thing about folk punk when I started because I had no money. I was like this broke kid from the South Bronx. I had no cash for anything. So it's like, all right, I'm gonna build a thing out of that. And then that's how a wash tub bass works. Like, you know, you just
I love that. a lot of my stuff like started from folk punk as well, and like just punk in general. But I don't know. I love getting creative, and I don't feel the need to have expensive stuff because like if I don't have it, then I figure out how to make it or I figure out how to edit it that way. And honestly, I used a kazoo in my last album, drove my boyfriend nuts, but I still used it. And I don't know, sometimes if I don't have like like a lot of the time, like I don't use guitar, so I've literally just like sat there and like used my voice as a guitar riff and then just like edit it with a bunch of like distortion and fuzz so that it sounds like a guitar, but it's literally just my voice, you know, like I don't know.
Genius.
I love getting creative.
But and I think now that we're seeing like what they keep calling pandemic producers, which is like a lot of like social media conscious because we can't go perform live. It's a lot of people on Instagram. Some folks, they didn't even perform before this. They just picked it up because that's what happens when shit gets hard. You find ways to create. And I think there's like there's this weird, it's not even like a line because genre means nothing anymore. So everyone's just kind of collaborating in this really cool way. But there definitely are like two schools of thought right now. And then there's like the guys who are like, I got Ableton and my preamps and I bought all this stuff and I'm good. And like, I have the TikTok lighting in my room. So it looks like like it's all set up. Like they want to be like big style producer. And then there's the kids who were already doing this in punk bands, but we can't go to our venues anymore. So we're always like, there's a synthesizer over there and a drum over there. I'm going to call my friend in New England to be my producer. And I'm just going to send him mixes every day.
Totally. Yeah, that's so funny. I love it. I don't know.
Well, clearly you're very good at it. I think at this point, I looked at TikTok, you're at 110,000 followers, which is no small feat.
I don't know how that happened, really. It was crazy. Like, I feel like, or like last March, when everyone was like doing TikTok because like the country got shut down, I just like made one. And then my boyfriend like used to live in a van. And we were like making this like really funny like parody video about like living in a van. And then we like posted it on TikTok and like it just like blew up and we were like, what? You know, and then, I don't know, we just like got drunk and we were like making silly ass videos and then like once we got a platform, we were like, dang, like how can we tie in like harm reduction and like I don't know, just like cool. I don't know. Sorry to interrupt you, but I was just like, yeah, I don't know how that happened. Like,
no, you're answering the question and you answered it beautifully. That's no, I mean, but that's the thing you do, right? You build a platform and then you use it for what you want. I was in the same boat. I mean, obviously not the same follower count or numbers, but I had never really like all of my stuff had always been kind of like real world. I really didn't do social media that much because I was bad at it. Like I grew up in a city where it's all face to face. It's who you know and how you can talk to them. But I accidentally, it was one of those like Stitch things of like they asked a question. They were like, oh, like what's your weirdest celebrity beef? Yeah. And I got into it with James Franco when I was like 21.
Oh gosh.
And that got 200,000 views. That's more than anything I've ever done in my life. And I was like, oh no.
For real. That's crazy. Literally the video that like sent that account off was like, I was shit-faced in my boyfriend's van. And I was like, fuck, what did I say? I was like, can you excuse me for a second? And then I just went in the middle of a canyon and was just like, ah, and I like screamed. And that was the whole video. And like, that was literally like why I got freaking followers on this like weird dumb app that I'm like way too old for in the first place. I don't know. It was just like, it's so silly how that happens. And like now my music's like just having like been listened to because of that essentially.
However, but that's the weird, and then like we started it as a joke. It was strictly a goof. My brother and my sister upstairs, I was with my little brother and sister because I said I was helping my folks, and they were on TikTok, and I was like, wouldn't it be funny if like I had an account and I just started like messing around and they just like saw me on TikTok and they were like, oh well, now it's not fun, it's not cool anymore because my little brother does it, and I'll stop. And we're gonna do a whole podcast episode on content creation, and that was almost a year ago. Because I posted that while I was doing the podcast, it's just sort of like an interview thing. My music wasn't really taking. I had no vision for anything. I was just like making beats with my best friend from high school and, you know, just like trying it out. So I was like, well, I'll interview my friends who are actually doing things and maybe that'll inspire me at some point. And then that happened, 200,000, like a couple days. It was crazy. And then like all this, just the past year has just been like, that's weird. And I showed it to my friend JD who lives out here in Brooklyn, and he became my manager. He goes, no, we're going to use this. And then we just started putting out music, and like now it's crazy how fast that app works and like how quick things change.
It's insane.
It definitely felt like one hit wonder syndrome, but I was like, because the posts after that weren't getting 200,000. I was like, oh no, is that it? Is that my 15 minutes? But no, it's just, I can't post serious things, because if I post something serious, if I'm like something environmentalism or my own music or depression or mental health, nothing. But if I'm like, wasted, and I'm like, yo, there's a UFO in New Mexico. I'm gonna go back to the mothership. 1,000 views in a day.
Right? That's like how it works. And like same with mine too. Like my boyfriend like is really sorry, what's the word? Technologic. He's not good at his phone. What the fuck is that
Technologically.
word? Yeah, he's not good at his phone.
Got it.
He doesn't even know how to do Instagram. So he just like makes videos with me on the same account. And like, yeah, I don't know, like every time we try to post like videos about like harm reduction and stuff, I mean, like I feel like they're positively received, you know, and that's cool. But like when we just like make fun of something or like just like post something stupid or dumb, like it's always the silly videos that like get the most attention, which is fine. Like I love being silly, but it's just never like, hey, like look at my song that I made. It's like, no, they just like want to watch something dumb.
You just want to get to the point where it's like, hey, I put this thing out. I don't have to do like, I have to jump through the hoops of like being a clown to make it happen.
Yeah.
Even the hip hop stuff was kind of, it wasn't a joke because I do take it seriously. Like I'm from the state, like I love hip hop music, but like the joke in the first part of like the original joke of it was that I look like the whitest man in America. Like I look like Super Mario. So like, it was funny that I was like doing bars, but then like it started to work. And then Ghostface Killah from Wu-Tang Clan actually like heard a couple of our songs and was like, yeah, I'll put you on this mixtape. So I was like, oh wait, shit, can I do this for real? Did I accidentally like psych bro? Like haha JK unless, and then it happens. This is weird how like it just, you figure out the skills that you're not even like you're passionate about. Like I am passionate about it now, but I only got to that route because like I didn't even think I could do that. I was doing it as a joke, and then people took it seriously. I was like, oh, I guess I'll just try it seriously.
I love how that works though. Like, I don't know. It kind of makes sense. You know, we started this app just like as a joke because of quarantine and like, I don't know. I love being silly. I'm a super sad and anxious person, but I love being silly and I love making fun of myself. And like people like me, or like I love making fun of my boyfriend and stuff. And I don't know.
You guys are adorable, by the way. You guys are like punk relationship goals all the way. I love it. Synth GF and faux punk BF. I love it.
He's literally the best. He's so funny.
How long have you guys been together?
A little over a year, but we've known each other since I was like 16. So we met at the venue that I worked at, and he like went there. So we like hung out a few times when I was like still in high school, and he was in college. I didn't know how old he was, but yeah. And then after, it was like last January, and we ran into each other at the liquor store, and then it's been ever since.
It's like the most like punk rock rom-com I've ever heard in my life. Like, that's how it happens, man. That's how the scene is, right?
Yeah, that was really funny.
I did want to, so I mean, obviously I always feel weird being asked what my influences are because like obviously it's everything. It's everything that you hear, it's everything that you experience in life.
I wrote it down. I was assuming that you would ask me that, so I like wrote some down.
There you go.
So my ex from high school, I was with her for like 3 years or so, and we lived in Olympia, Washington together and like did music there, and like we were in a band and stuff, but like she had a music project that was really cool. And at the time, like it was just like in the early days of like the mid like 2010 like lo-fi scene, like the bedroom pop lo-fi shit, and like I don't know, she was just really good at doing that. And that's kind of just like she kind of taught me how to like record and do stuff, and like I learned through her. So definitely like DIY like lo-fi from the early 2010s is like something that's like still inspiring to me. Like I don't know, I take a lot of inspiration from that. I really like this artist called Milo. He's like this rapper. I don't know, just his lyrics are really good and they're really honest, and I like the way that he breaks up his words, and like yeah, just like how he like his poetry is like beautiful. And also same with Yoni Wolf from Y. And he's also in Jaime's Basement, and those are like two projects that I gain like a lot of inspiration from. And like sometimes if I don't know what to write, like I'll listen to that and kind of like see if I can get any inspiration from that, because I usually can. I really like early Modest Mouse, like early Modest Mouse albums.
Yes.
Inspiration from that. And then also like both 90s emo and also like 2010s emo. Like, I don't know, 90s emo is like my favorite genre of music. And I don't know, like I wrote a song like a couple albums ago that was like directly inspired by and I Hate Myself song. And like I even use the same chords and like the same kind of general song structure, but like it's such a different type of music that you wouldn't even be able to tell that it was inspired from that. And then also the second to last thing that I wrote on my inspiration list was like Chelsea Wolfe and like female fronted metal such as like Oathbreaker. I really love the concept of like really pretty music with like screamy vocals over it, or like really pretty music with like just like I really love like making a really pretty song and then just like using like just like some gross ass like fuzz or distortion filter on my voice. Like I usually do a pretty one over the top, but then I use like a fuzzy gross one underneath just because I like how it kind of like ruins it. Like it makes it uncomfortable and like it ruins the pretty, you know, because it's not all pretty. And then finally on there is like different just like folk punk stuff. Like I've got a lot of inspiration from I said them earlier for some reason, but Jordan Mason and the Headless Horse Museum, like that album is like one of my favorite albums in the whole world. And like just the lyrics on there are just so insanely beautiful. And just like I got a lot of inspiration from that album for the song In Rooms, and just like the way that they talk about gender and just like being gay and shit like that. Like I don't know, it's just so beautifully written. And yeah, just like other folk punk things because I grew up listening to punk and folk punk and doing that stuff, you know. So but yeah, I figured you'd ask me that question. So
it's always like the back pocket, like I gotta ask these three questions. But even within that, it's just, especially now because genre really doesn't. It's crazy how little it means anything anymore. Like hyperpop means like 900 different things.
Yeah, totally.
And I know personally, like I always feel weird answering those questions because it's like I could give you like for that album or just in general, but even then it's so much. Like even that record alone, like there's like 90 different bands that we were listening to, everything from Grateful Dead, you know. It's like all the way like Wu-Tang Clan. It's like you got it, you pick up what you pick up, and then some of it kind of falls onto the track, but you don't pick which one. You're like, oh yes, I'm gonna pull from this and that and that. It's just kind of what happens.
Yeah, and that's how I've done it for a lot of my albums. Like I'm looking at my Bandcamp right now with like all my different albums, and like I remember like at the beginning, like the first few releases, like my first album that I released for this project was called Girls with Weird Eyes, or Girls with Weird Eyes, and like it was literally like I named it that because I was living by myself in Washington, and there was this girl who was staying with my neighbor like in my apartment complex, and like she had the weirdest, most beautiful eyes ever, and like I had such a huge crush on her, and like we were just like hanging out and we were like listening to like Anti-Con together and just like fucking just weird 90s rap, and just I was like, oh fuck, I like she was so pretty, and I just like wrote that album about her, but like it was like directly like inspired from like the 90s rap that we were listening to, you know. And like I don't know if it'd be able to like I don't know if anyone listening to it would like be able to like tell that, but
pick up on that. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like it's that like it doesn't make the inspiration any less authentic. It's just like that's what inspired me today. Sometimes it's like Jerry Lewis or like, you know, Gene Krupa or something, and then what it put out is like the most not that in the world.
It's not that, like, you know, there's nothing in that like resembles like 90s. Like we were listening to Anti-Con and just I don't know, stuff like that from that label. But yeah, I don't know how to sample or anything, but I don't know, I got a lot of inspiration from that. And then my album Places Besides Here, which was like 3 albums ago, I released that one in 2019, but that was like when I was like in like a heavy like I was like dipping back into all the folk punk that I used to like and like things like that. And yeah, that one was like inspired by folk punk. And then the one that I just released this time last year, that was like really inspired by like a bunch of like lo-fi stuff, like Alex G and what else, like what's their name, they're one of my Happy Trendy, I don't know who they are, but yeah, I've been listening to them for a while, but I was just really inspired by stuff like that, and I just kind of took it and ran with it, just like the parts that I liked about their music, I kind of just like tried to tie them into my own. So
is there anything that you're working on right now that's like coming up the pipeline, like any new releases?
Yeah, I just started working on something a few days ago. Usually the way that I write is like I get enough like poems / lyrics that will be able to last me for like the amount of songs I want to have on the release. So right now I have like 6 poems / like finalized lyrics. And I want to just start releasing something else. And then, like, usually the way I do it is I write all my lyrics and then I kind of just start recording songs until I have enough songs to put out. Yeah, and then I'll just put it out once it's done. And yeah, this time around I'll be able to release it on Spotify right away. Or I think I did that with my last one too, but yeah, I'm working on something new, and I think I'm going to call it the Black Sheep EP, or like just Black Sheep. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm excited about it. I so far only have like one song that's like in the works, and everything else is just the lyrics at this point in time. But
You need that like NYC. You need a feature on the track. You know who to
Yeah,
just. You don't want me on your album. You don't want me anywhere near what you do. It would honestly ruin it for me because then like I'd be listening to stuff like, no, I don't want to hear me.
yeah, I'll just send it over once I get to it, or I'll send you something that I've never released. That's just that I don't really like, but yeah, I'll get something over to you to put in the background of this.
Either way, very excited to see what you're working on. I do want to take a second to thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate it. We'll try to play some tunes in the breaks, get people more familiar with your work, as they should be. But thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. Feel free to come back anytime. Don't be a stranger.
Yeah, let me know if you want me to come back around. Hopefully my speaking isn't too awkward. I'm really a socially anxious person, so trying to talk about shit for 45 minutes, especially when it's about myself, it's kind of just like, oh gosh.
I'll go back and listen to the first 2 episodes. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Okay.
Well, we're going to take it over to the music break. Stay tuned. I'll catch you guys later. Do me a huge favor. Be good till then.
Bye. Wonderful.
I don't know what I expected. I'm going to do a Godzilla episode. Obviously, the most social crowd I could get, Godzilla fans. Definitely known for being, just gift to gab, really lots of life of the party. Most popular guy at every party. Always a Godzilla fan every time. No.
I don't even get to talk about Godzilla with anyone, so.
He has to wait for the 2 times a year that I come home, and then we go to game.
I've never talked about Godzilla with anyone, so hey.
It's the secret everybody keeps in their closet because the movies aren't. If you're really being honest with yourself, some of them are really bad. Some of them are not good. They're just like not a good time.
I really enjoyed when they were just like obviously bad, almost on purpose,
Whereas
they were. At some point, they became like obviously campy.
Yeah, not the '98 one. That one's just bad. But like Space Godzilla and what was the other one? I had a double pack that had 2 of the early '90s Godzilla movies. The Space Godzilla and I can't remember his.
Was it Astro Zombies?
No, it was another Godzilla
The Astro
monster. Yeah. Destroyer. It was Destroyer.
Destroyer.
That freaking one. And then there's a part. There's a part in the movie where like, let's take Godzilla. Then there's the Space Godzilla because he's from space.
Technically, all Godzillas are space Godzillas. Fucking, he's on Earth. He's also everyone's from space. That's not a thing.
Yeah. It's like, what's the difference between Godzilla and Space Godzilla? This one's from space.
Oh, okay. You mean like how everything is? Fuck.
Then there's that baby God. Do you remember the baby Godzilla from the
not Godzuki, not the cartoon one, the live action. He had like a normal.
Yeah, the live
name.
Action one.
It was weird. What was his name? The little baby Godzilla. Dang it.
It's like Little Zilla.
Like Harold or something.
Like a normal person name.
It was like a normal person named like Harold. I don't think it was Harold. Godzilla
Harold
Jr.
the baby Godzilla.
It was just
it's Godzilla Jr., isn't it?
Yeah, Godzilla
I told
Jr.
you.
I think it'd be very funny if his name was just like Paul.
I think he gets killed by Destroyer, and it was sad.
Manila, that's what it was. He had some kind. It was Manila, Minilla. I knew he had a name. Not crazy.
Not a normal name though.
Manila is way more normal than Godzilla Jr.
He looks like like a live action Yoshi.
But his face is like Danny DeVito.
He looks like a baby Ninja Turtle. Yeah.
He does look like a baby Ninja Turtle.
They were just having a little too much fun by the 90s Toho.
They're like, we've officially run out of things to throw at this fucking monster. What do we do? Give it a kid. That was all the 80s. All marketing in the 80s was one big long coke line of, I don't know, make it kids. Muppet Babies, fucking.
Well, this was after they came up with the cartoon.
That's and Godzilla.
Yeah. So it says Godzilla is his adoptive father. So he's not actually Godzilla's child.
He's a bastard, but then who are the parents? Like a potato and an ugly rock? I don't understand.
Why is its name Godzilla Jr.?
It's not. It's Manila. Stop. We already established that its name is Manila, and that way I don't look like a psychopath for thinking its name was like, I don't know, Richard or some shit.
You said Harold.
I
You
said
his
lots
name
of
was
names.
Harold.
I also said Paul.
Oh my god. I'm trying to see. It does not say Manila anywhere else.
Yes, it does. I just did it. It was Minilla. I will do this on screen share right now. You want me to put you on black? I'll fucking do it. I got it.
No, just forget it.
Not the
Oh
spell.
man.
Boom.
Oh, it says
Boom.
Oh, it says Junior. It says Junior is revived and grows into a new adult Godzilla.
Boom.
Okay,
Manila.
yeah, there were two of
All right.
them. There were two of
Yeah.
them.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he's got a weird Steve Buscemi face.
Oh my god, that's horrible. I never want to see that again.
I love that I'm doing this on a
Oh.
podcast. I'm just showing jarring pictures of Godzilla Jr. I'm sorry, Manila, because we established that I was right. The thriller in Manila, if you will.
That is horrifying.
On that note, welcome back to WFRSDE, the space station. You're here with Eddie Crash. Today, I am joined by two very good friends that I haven't seen in a very long time. Marcus Wright, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And Cashlyn Flanagan from the 30th of February.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Eddie, for having me.
So we were just talking a little bit about Manila Godzilla Jr. Obviously, today's topic is Godzilla, parentheses, hashtag cyberbullying.
Well,
I really want Kevin to show up now because now it's like, otherwise I'm just picking on him. But today we're not here to talk about cyberbullying, and even though that is the topic of discussion,
or
if
baby,
someone
or
decides
baby
to show up,
Godzilla.
maybe now you won't know until the end of the episode what happens there. That's how you keep them reeled in. Today we're talking about Godzilla versus Kong, new movie that's coming out March 26th. Everybody's really excited for it. Obviously, this is the type of movie that Comic-Con nerds go crazy for year after year. It's up there with like Goku versus Superman in terms of like versus matches we've always wanted to see, but maybe shouldn't get. Cough. Batman versus Superman. The Snyder Cut is not going to be better. Explain to me what. There's no.
I really.
I'm not. It's not. Don't
I
explain.
really could care less about that.
Great. It's going to be more beige and 9 hours long. Fantastic. It's going to be the same movie.
Same exact movie with a lot of pointlessness to it, the stuff that we didn't need.
Yeah, but they're like, it makes sense, but I'm like, okay, but does it make it good?
It's the George Lucas cut.
So,
I'll be interested.
Yeah, so Godzilla versus Kong. I just watched the trailer again before we hopped on. Has some cool things that I'm really excited for, some things that I'm not feeling so great about, and some things that are just straight up fucking infuriating. But first, we do have to take a quick break and meet with our sponsors. So if you guys just want to stay tuned, we will come back and talk about that. Welcome back to WFRSDE, the space station. You're tuned in, as always, with Eddie Crash. Before the break, we were talking about Godzilla, the upcoming pop culture phenomenon that's coming out March 26th, Godzilla versus Kong. Right now, I am here with my buddy Patrick Bean. Say hi to the people, Beanie.
Hey, everybody.
And so for those of you who don't know, here at WFRSDE, the space station, we actually have some really good news. We just secured our first sponsorship with Canavision. Canavision is a decentralized, cannabis-focused media news outlet They have so many cool ideas. This has been a really cool, like horizontally structured sponsorship. So when they came to me, they weren't like, hey, we tell you what to do now and we'll pay you to let us do that. They were like, no, like we're building this media outlet and we want you to be a part of that. So basically we're able to work out a deal where they're helping with a lot of like the behind the scenes stuff. Editing is gonna become a lot more like slick and streamlined. I get to focus on the music, which is dope. That's always like the main aspect of this. As a result of that sponsorship, I do want to touch on some of the stuff we've been talking about on the news network, primarily the cannabis industry. We had a lot of breakthrough news this year. The legalization bill went to Senate at the federal level. A lot of states over the past couple of years have seen legalization happen. And now we're starting to see some of the economic benefits of that in a time where we could definitely use some economic benefits, period. I'm just kind of like a dumb hippie with a fake radio station, so I don't really know what I'm talking about. And that's why Patrick is here, because as with every hippie, I have one friend who knows like something about Bitcoin and business, and that's who I go to when I'm like panicking. I'm like, there's not enough dollars in the account. How do I make it do that? Show me your magic.
I got to start somewhere, buddy.
Yep. Definitely opened all kinds of new accounts. I have a whole bunch of new passwords that take up space in my brain. Like 3 new apps to check every day. It's just like it's a lot. It's a lot of information and a lot of data. In terms of cannabis specifically, I did want to focus on, before we got into the more like consumer business aspects of it, I did want to touch on more of like the lifestyle end of things. This was something that I wanted to bring you to when you were still in Brooklyn, but we didn't get a chance to go. The Coexist Gaming House.
Okay.
Yeah, so Coexist is this really dope, similar kind of system focused on decentralization and like giving vendors a space. So not so much a mall or flea market, but just like an active vendor showcase that also happens to be a private club space. They've been doing all kinds of cool stuff with like Black-owned businesses, all types of like nightlife, like fight nights, like boxing. They're a fully stacked 2-floor arcade. So they have like old arcade machines going up into like the brand new stuff that just came out, the stuff that like the competitive fighters use. Really cool fucking spot.
Eddie didn't get the memo. He's not supposed to talk about that. That's rule number 1.
Yeah, the rule of the private club is you're not supposed to talk about the private club. No, that's the thing. Their marketing is pretty, like they do like Comic-Con and stuff. So I'm like, it's not that good at kept secret. Like if you're like going to New York Comic-Con and telling people about it.
Yeah, there you go.
That's business, baby. That's how you bring it back to make the big bucks. No, for me, that's just a place to hang out, but now I have to like talk about it. Like it is a viable business. I think it's cool, but the way that I talk about business is the way that I talk about music, which sounds a lot like a stoned 27-year-old idiot. It's like, I don't know, man, just the vibe is very positive. And like, I just think it's a great atmosphere for creativity. That means nothing financially. It means nothing.
Pretty sure that's how people pick stocks too, just based off the vibe.
That's how the GameStop thing happened. It's just all off like,
Absolutely.
there's a bunch of bros broing down in the bro zone, and they're like, fuck it, man, let's fuck off Wall Street. Yeah, dude.
You know what? This is the vibe this week. And then we'll move on to the next big thing.
Conservatively, how many people do you think are going to get GME tattoos this year?
How many people do I think are going to, or how many people do I think already did and regret it?
I think that one's the more important question. Oh man, that shit was nuts, dude. I like out of nowhere, because I didn't realize, like, I thought it was just Reddit being Reddit. Like it was like Twitch plays Pokemon thing where it's like, oh, we're just gonna show that humanity has no idea what the fuck it's doing. And then I saw like all of like my friends and like the political like anarchists and social spirits like, no, this is Occupy 2.0 basically. I was like, oh shit.
Well, it was the Wednesdays in January, right? You had insurrection, and then you had impeachment, and then you had inauguration, and then all of a sudden the next Wednesday it was, the attack on Wall Street, which it's got me interested in seeing what's going to happen moving forward, especially with a lot of these like Reddit groups and things like that. They're gonna have traction, and there's gonna be people in Wall Street that are gonna be paying attention to them. So who knows?
I think we're going to see hedge funds sort of like, that's going to be the new move, because that's how this goes, right? The market flows and it changes, and we're starting to see where people are taking an interest in Wall Street now. From a purely marketing standpoint, you just got millions of potential just millions of guaranteed new investors. They all just invested for the first time, whether it be through like Robinhood or through the Cash App or crypto. Like some of these people have never done that before. And I think you're going to start to see more of definitely those Reddit groups. Those are going to start to pop up. You're going to see like almost like these like mini like wannabe hedge funds of like 14. Same thing when Bitcoin popped. Remember that shit? Everyone was like buying in on percentages of a Bitcoin. They had guys running around the sales office like basically like day trading in broad daylight, like in front of like their bosses and stuff. Like they were in on
I mean,
it.
it's happening again right now. Bitcoin is doing incredibly well. Tesla just put $1.5 billion into it, so like it popped off that. But no, I mean, what's nice about these groups is that you sort of, going back to your point of like decentralization and things like that, is Wall Street Bets and Reddit forums like that are essentially a hedge fund. They're a group that control a large amount of money and they can choose to put that money wherever they want. So it's a decentralized hedge fund, which is kind of dope. It's kind of crazy to think about.
Because it's essentially just a shit ton of money. When you boil it down.
Money, but instead of that money being held, or people investing that money in a hedge fund and that hedge fund deciding where to put the money, it's just those individual investors. You're cutting out the middleman.
It almost takes capitalism and creates like this weird, like it's just direct democracy with extra steps. Like you're creating more of a voice.
Yeah, you're right.
It should just be that way. And we're getting closer and closer to the point, and it's that money is made up and doesn't fucking mean anything. But for now, like, I'll definitely settle for like, cool, more people are starting to convene and talk about how to use this kind of money responsibly. And that kind of, it's the third party vote kind of thing, but it actually does take up space where it's like, okay, well, if that money is going towards, for instance, renewable energy, renewable tech, that's less money going towards Exxon and all those terrible, terrible Captain Planet fucking bad guys that want to take away my ecosystem.
No, absolutely. And I mean, you're seeing that with a ton of renewable energy, companies that are traded on the public market. Sunrun's doing fantastic when it comes to their stock, but even people like Solar Edge or things like that are doing great, right?
Yeah.
Guys who aren't doing direct work with consumers, they're working with businesses to expand things. It's kind of crazy.
And you still have like the mom and pop shops, like the Momentums and stuff like that, who are either distributors of those larger companies or just like running straight panels like American Solar Partners did. They were getting their panels from a factory in Buffalo. I'm gonna get really technical in this for like 5 seconds so that like, people think I'm smart, and I'm gonna jump right back into sounding like Pauly Shore. But no, it's definitely a booming industry, and like that was kind of my first example of seeing, like, for lack of a better use of phrase, like changing the system from within. Because when I came into solar, all of those many moons ago, and I was working in that industry, I had come from the nonprofit sector, focusing on education awareness and fundraising. So it was similar tools, just kind of like a different uniform, I guess. And that kind of opened my eyes, like, no, there is a way to bring about change within these things that do feel icky, like, finance and Wall Street. Like for someone like me, that's not, like, that's evil, no good. That's the man. That's the state. I don't want to put money into the state. It's all a game. You got to unplug from it. Hide cash in the walls. They're turning the freaking frogs gay. All that. I'm allowed to say it.
That's going to be the title of this episode. We'll see how many views we get with that one. But no, I think it's you and I came to the industry from very different points of view. Like when we both ended up working in solar and like solar development in New York, but you were doing a lot of stuff with regards to community outreach. I know your stuff with CCE that you were doing. I came from it from I was fresh out of college, got my degree in sustainable development and never looked back, but didn't really have the people skills that are necessary to expand something like this. It's a growing market, and it's something that not a lot of people are super familiar with. So, I learned a lot from you. Hopefully you learned one or two things from me. I can only imagine.
Still am. That's why you're here. I need help still. You left too soon. You left baby to die. You pushed me out of the nest and I wasn't ready yet.
Got to come to Chicago, buddy.
I know. Oh man, you wait till this tour schedule opens up, baby boy. I will be out there in a heartbeat to shit on your pizza and your crappy football team.
Hey, you know what? I'm not sold on the pizza myself. I'm thinking it's just a cheese casserole.
Bro, I don't have time to eat a cake. All right, if I'm getting pizza, I got places to fucking be. I'm not trying to sit down and like have an experience with this fucking thing. No, fold it.
It's just a big bread bowl.
It's a bunch of nonsense, is what it is. It's lies. It's not. They say it's pizza, and it's not. I don't know what the fuck that is. I'm coming to you, Chicago. I'm coming to you. I'm gonna crap on your food.
All of the Chicago listeners just tuned away.
Portillo's trash. No, I know they really like Portillo's. I don't know why. I just know they really like it. It's like Gina's in Philly.
Wait till this pandemic ends, and then we'll end up, we'll do something at Portillo's. It'll be great.
For sure. But yeah, I mean, we definitely did. And that was what was, I think, why we got along so well when we started working, with these companies together, was because it was coming at it from two different points, but with the same motive, which was just wanting to do good and wanting a cleaner earth and all of that.
Sure.
So like that was where I felt like I was like, okay, he's not like these other fucking like sales jerks. Like he's speaking the lingo, but like it's just, you know, I get it because I have to do the same thing and it sucked. But
I'm not trying to change the world. I'm just trying to make your utility bill great again.
Yeah, because we worked in, oh God, Staten Island, never, 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 never again. Oh man, I'm not even gonna try to hide it. If you're from Staten Island, I'm sorry. Not even like ag, like I get it. You can't help where you're from. I'm sorry.
We gotta put a caveat in there for the Wu-Tang Clan.
That doesn't count. That's a whole different Staten Island. Oh man, but yeah. So going back to the topic of the cannabis industry, I did want to talk to you about the business aspect of it. Obviously, it's not just the lifestyle end of things. When it comes to an industry, it's all the parts of the buffalo, right? So yes, marijuana is love, marijuana is all that. That's great, but there's also an entire industry behind that with textiles and hemp that could really revolutionize how we handle clothing, infrastructure, factories, like everything. You can use hemp to build basically anything we use. So, you know, what we use with current plastics or even like certain fibers. So that's one aspect of it. You also have to factor in the fact that now that industry has equity and capital, which means it has power to lobby, which means it has power to make actual progressive change in the country based on what it wants. So if the cannabis industry does move towards renewables, which there's no reason for it not to, because it's in its own best interest to like have a good environment, you're seeing something that could definitely overtake tobacco, oil, like all these big name, like evil bad guys who like really control like the predominant like percentage of the country.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the kind of thing where you gotta make sure you're looking at it from all fronts, because if you move into a position where you're evolving the marijuana industry into essentially a big agriculture, like lobbying wing, then there are certain issues that arise with big agriculture that you have to start focusing on. But at this point, in the state of cannabis in this country is not at a point where we need to really be talking about that. It's more about how we address the issues that we're currently facing, and focus on changing the focus from being a big agricultural entity to being more decentralized and more focused on promoting the small guy once we get things legalized. That's why legalization is so important.
So you're saying, as opposed to looking at it as like you said, like a wing of like an agricultural lobbying group, focusing on all of those aspects at once as its own like separate entity.
Yeah, I mean, there needs to be some sort of collective bargaining power for the small guys out there, because they're the ones that are really gonna need to shape this industry. There's a ton of problems with, industrial level agriculture. If you look at clear cutting of lands to, produce this agricultural land, or if you're reusing land that's already been used, there's nutrient deficiencies in soil, there's erosion issues that you run into. Marijuana is an incredibly thirsty crop, right?
Yep.
I think it uses something like 23 liters per day per plant.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. So being able to support something like that, you need to make sure that you're giving the small guy a voice, as opposed to just going straight to industrial agriculture.
Well, yeah, because you have to think Northern California has been in a drought for fucking who knows how long, and all of those weed businesses are still managing to stay open. So
Yep.
You have to wonder how they're managing, because either they have access to water in a way they're able to manage.
Yeah.
Point in the fact of the matter is they're not struggling with that access to water that the rest of the state is, the same way that the state is. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of focus with these cannabis startups that are starting to pop up on decentralization for that exact reason, because that's where you really do see the most innovation, when everyone has that voice as like a member of a co-op, a member of a company, not just like an employee. You start to see more of, for instance, like with Google, you have a company that started as a search engine, right?
Yep.
But now they have consultants that are talking about technology, marketing, housing, all of these crazy different things, because
you're expanding the categories that you're producing business in.
Yeah, because you started at that horizontal structure. I mean, Unfortunately, that grew into something, but that's what I'm saying. I think we're seeing the cannabis industry learn from the sins of its father, in that it's trying to be like, okay, well, how do we keep this horizontal all the way up, so that way we don't see us getting overtaken because one guy decided to sell the entire industry to Disney. you know, or however it ends up being Disney, even if it's like not. I'm sure don't they own like military weapons at this point? They have like
I would imagine
they have
so.
like a stake in like Lockheed Martin or something like that. I have to look it up.
No, I think my big thing with the cannabis industry, watching it go forward, you know, obviously legalization is the first step in the process. But I really would love to not see companies like Monsanto be the ones that take a controlling stake in this industry, this booming young
Absolutely.
industry.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was gonna touch on it because there's that whole they had the what are those fucking Build-A-Bear meetings? Build-A-Bear. They had the fucking meetings.
Build-A-Bear.
Yeah, the Build-A-Bear meetings. We gotta stop this unicorn. No, they have like those like those summits where it's like the Trilateral Commission or whatever it is. I forget there's one of those that's actually real, and then 3 of those names that are definitely just things I heard on InfoWars. Because that's how my brain works now. I'm like, it's all bullshit because it's all media now. So I just need to focus on the stuff that's the most positive. But Monsanto sponsored a meeting with a bunch of different oil tycoons, head titans of industry, what have you, to sell a GMO seed, like this GMO seed prototype they have, where it can grow food at an exponential rate, but the soil that it's grown in becomes so bare, like basically it changes the chemicals in the soil so that it can only grow Monsanto seeds. Because like it's just what the seeds put out, it now has to I forget the exact science behind it, but yeah, it would effectively wipe out you have to use Monsanto seeds as a farm anywhere in the world.
Well, what's crazy, and Monsanto's been doing this kind of shit for years. Wait, can we swear on this thing?
Yeah, I can believe it.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so Monsanto's been doing this for years, and when I was, you know, first getting into looking at sustainable agriculture and things like that, Monsanto quickly emerges as the bad guy. They did this, so they genetically engineered seeds in the past with what are colloquially known as suicide genes, right? Where basically the plant that comes from that seed will not produce seeds to flower more plants, right? So you can't take the seeds from one plant, use it to plant another one, and grow your own from that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You have to come back and you have to buy seeds from Monsanto year after year after year.
To put a spin on it, from my buddies up in the Bronx who are the only ones who actually watch this show. So you know how all of our moms have tomato seeds and they like plant, we have like a whole basement full of tomato sauce because they're all like trying to like make enough sauce or gravy to like fund the war. Like it's just every Italian mom has like an entire cellar that's like enough tomato sauce to last 30 nuclear bombs. Because a lot of Italian immigrants, when they came to this country, that's really all they had was the seeds from like their farms in Italy.
Heirloom stuff.
Heirloom stuff's been getting passed down and regrown generation to generation. So like if you go up to like up in the Hudson Valley, every Italian house has like a tomato plant in the back. So this would effectively
in the cannabis industry.
That would stop that from
Monsanto, excuse me.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, so these seeds would stop that from effectively happening. So if you love your mom, you'll say fuck Monsanto. I was trying to circle back around.
Yeah. Circle back to it. No, it's atrocious what they end up doing. And you know, if there is a farm that is growing Monsanto seeds that does not have a contract with Monsanto has every right to come out and pursue legal action against them, and they have. They've gone up against these little guys who, you know, a seed might have blown into their plot of land, and all of a sudden they're enthralled in this legal battle that they didn't expect. Yeah, so I don't want to see someone like that come in and take a controlling interest in the cannabis industry, because I think it takes away from all the good that's happened on a small scale prior to legalization.
Yeah. And I mean, even then, you're already seeing like hedge fund guys start to sneak in, and guys from Wall Street and DC, because they have the startup capital. That's all it is. All business is if you have enough startup capital, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can start any kind of business. It could be fucking sweaters for dogs. If you've got $6 million, that shit's turning a profit because you have people to cook the books and do what you need to do to make that sustainable for yourself and continue, you know, make it grow and all that.
You throw enough into Facebook marketing, you can make anything profitable.
Yeah, and I guess I now worry about similar things happening on the wellness end of things, where you're seeing marijuana come up as an alternative to a lot of painkillers. It definitely helps folks who are going through chemotherapy because it's an anti-inflammatory. Sorry, we're gonna try that one again. I'm gonna cut back around. A natural anti-inflammatory, and I didn't just edit that in because I'd speak mush mouth.
You nailed it the first time.
Yeah, it it helps with a lot of symptoms that we thought we could only really cure in this country by shoving fistfuls of pills down people's throats, where it's like, my arm hurts, pills. Like, no, there are steps you can take before we bring in like synthetic things that were created in a lab for the sole purpose. Like, there are already natural remedies, and this is one of those remedies. It just needs to be treated with the same respect that any other medication is treated with.
Absolutely.
In that same regard, I actually saw a Forbes article recently that was talking about that, in terms of, because we are looking with the opioid epidemic, the big pharma's looking for alternatives, obviously, to Oxycontin, oxycodone, all of those terrible, terrible things that they feed our parents and grandparents as they get older, to make that slip into death just a little more comfy. But it turns them into zombies is the flip side of it. It's like it treats the symptom, but now that person, like, quality of life comes into play there. Whereas, I know this is anecdotal, but a lot of my friends in the musician scene who are a little bit older and have like arthritis or just general aches and pains from being 16, 70 and never having health insurance, they use cannabis, and those dudes are as spry as any 23 or 24-year-old, and that's a large sample size. I'm not just like 3 guys. That's like, I've toured across the country. I've met these guys in every kind of town. There's always that one hippie guy who's like grayed out, but is doing backflips and is just like on top of the world and doesn't do coke. It's just like that person.
It's a different breed.
It's all science, right? It's all health. It's cannabinoids is that there is an endocannabinoid system in your body that regulates mood, pain, injury. It's how you respond to all those negative feelings. It's supposed to be like the feel-good gene. And there are certain natural foods that you can actually get that from. It's not just weed. It's like you can get it from walnuts, fish pills, like same kind of sources, omega-3. Flaxseed is really good with it. And it's really, like I said, it's good for anxiety, depression, and just overall just soothing pains, whether it be mental or physical. And I know that there's definitely a more non-granola hippie way to say that, but that's why we need that investment. So it's not just guys like me all the time, talking between bong rips about it.
Yeah, if you're trying to be built different.
If you're trying to be built different. But yeah, and it goes into a general topic that we've been sort of discussing on the show since the beginning, which is general wellness, focusing on your mental health the same way you focus on your, as we get into further and further into lockdown, you're seeing a lot more of quarantine gut, and people are more depressed and more anxious, and because they've been inside for longer periods of time and are starting to see those long-term mental effects. From the beginning of this, I've always said that was like the thing that needs to be maintained. Like, you have to focus on what you can do, not what you can't do. And in the meantime, the same way that you would like do 100 push-ups to get rid of that beer gut, you kind of have to do some mental, sit-ups to keep everything in place when it's taking that much, like, for lack of a better word, psychic damage, like every day is something new. It's like, this building burned down and somebody invaded this place. Like, it's insane. So you have to monitor your own shit while also being aware of what's going on, right? It's like, before you act globally, you have to think locally, even if locally is like your own brain.
Yeah, I mean, with the pandemic, with everything like that, we've been stuck inside for so long. People stew, right? You've got nothing to do except look at your news feed all day, and the news feed isn't exactly cheery. So you gotta take care of yourself, take care of your mental health.
Yeah, and remembering that there is a world outside of that feed, right? Like, that's the thing. I think people forget that they can unplug. They can kind of take time away. It doesn't mean that you don't care. It just, everyone needs that time to themselves. Otherwise, what are you fighting for? If you really are that politically passionate, then what else are you fighting for other than your own freedom and pursuit of happiness?
So remember, listeners, that a podcast just told you to unplug. So
except for this one. Yeah, no, Spotify doesn't
except
count.
for this one, because
Spotify's different.
This is the good one.
We're infiltrating from outside the system. It's like Morpheus. You unplug for. It's the punk rock paradox, right? Anytime you try to make it somewhat legitimate, fucking poser.
That's how it is.
Got a camera now, Hollywood. Look who's not sleeping outside anymore. But that's it's trying to bridge that gap and understand that we're all looking for the same thing, which is just, we all just want to be happy and not have to deal with fucking stress. Is there anything that you and Christina have been doing like over the past year? I know like you guys have watched me show off on social media about like yoga and all that. What have you guys been doing to sort of like maintain peace?
What have we been doing to de-stress? Oh, we've been planning a wedding.
Great. That you're
No,
wow, that's the opposite of that, bud.
Yeah,
I don't know
no,
if I told you that.
we've definitely, we've been lucky enough to be able to ride this pandemic out down south. We're in South Carolina right now. So it's a very low stress environment. But no, being able to sink our attention into wedding planning has actually been really, really refreshing. It's, something that we can focus on that isn't work or isn't school. It's a third thing that we know we have to get done. We have a deadline for it. And both of us function pretty well under deadlines, so it's it's not half bad.
You will forever be students. And like that's I think it's the sweetest thing about you guys as a couple because you're like college sweethearts. It's like always that same energy of like we really like completing tasks together.
Christina has this story about me. That was after we finished undergrad. We were living together at the time, and we came back to our apartment, and within like 3 hours, I had cleaned everything in the apartment. And just turned to her and go, well, "What now?"
It's so you too. I can see
Like,
it.
all right, gotta get things done. Gotta stick it to it.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too, right? Is that there's this old school like ball and chain idea of like, oh, it's all a drag all the way through. But that's if it is like a couple that's as sound as you guys, like someone that I think that's a sign that you guys are ready to get married because you're it's not a stressful like egotistical thing. It's just like, no, this is something that we're working on together, on top of all the other stuff. It's just another step in the relationship.
Yeah. No, I mean, at this point, we're just we're hoping that our efforts are successful, not because of any strain in the relationship, but because of the fact that the wedding is in August, and we're really hoping this whole vaccine thing starts working out by then.
Same. And honestly, if it is in August, I might be coming clean off tour to the wedding, which is going to be so much better for me.
Yeah, and August 7th.
Perfect. Be like 90 pounds lighter, so that way I don't look terrible in your photos.
There you're gonna go. The suit's gonna be a little bit baggy on you, but hey.
Yeah, the suit's gonna be some kind of crazy color. No, I'm really excited, man. Like we're at that age where like all my buddies are getting engaged. Obviously, me and Ryan are engaged, and it's just really exciting to see people still pushing forward and making it happen. Obviously, we're still planning our wedding on top of Ryan actually getting ready to apply to St. John's for post-grad. And we've been, starting to make plans for just really building a home out of this. Now that we do have like our own spot and we're not sharing a studio anymore, just figuring out what we want to do. And I've been looking at some undergrad stuff, Manhattan School of Music. I'm coming for you. I want that 4-year conservatory.
My boy's gonna get learned.
I'm gonna go get an education, Paul. No, I mean, I used to talk to you about this all the time when we were in the fucking back of the car doing sales stuff. It was, I've proven what I can do without a degree with music and stuff, right? Like I got to run clubs and work things that like I proved like, no, like it's who you know, not what you know. But now I kind of want to see what I can do with a degree. Cause if that's me unarmed, me armed is like, fuck.
Yeah. No, man, you got a lot going for you. I'm excited to see where you head from
just
here.
Trying to stay busy. I think a lot of people, I mean, it's nothing special. It's like anyone else in the pandemic. I think seeing kind of death on the 30-yard line sparked a lot of people to be like, okay, this is what's really important, and just start shedding a lot of bullshit, because the reality is we didn't think that a lot of us would still be around right now. There was a chance that this conversation might not have happened because I was still in New York at the time, right down the street from a hospital, doing like dispatch and stuff for mutual aid. Like so many of my friends, when I left, I'm starting to realize, because we're getting closer, it's like, fuck, bro, I almost didn't see you ever again. That shit is nuts.
Yeah, no, it was scary. I mean, we were in New York up until July, and we, the sirens did not stop. It was constant, ambulances going and picking people up, taking people to hospitals. It was rough. It was a rough time, man. I'm glad that the city's sort of pulled through it. I'm iffy on this whole thing where they're opening up stadiums. I don't know if that's the best idea at this point in time.
I've already established, if you're a true Islanders fan, you are not going to a fucking Islanders game like that. You're an asshole. Even Mets, any of that. You are not a true fan if you're going to the stadiums right now, because you're prioritizing your entertainment over the health and safety of the players, the employees, every dude who has to sell a fucking chili dog in that stadium.
Well, there's
And,
only
like,
what, like 10 Islanders fans, so they can probably social distance.
listen to me, okay? I'm trying to make a point, and you're really fucking up my shit right now by pointing out that my hockey team is subpar. And I will be damned if I take some shit from a Mets fan. Now we're talking about it. Your baseball team is terrible, and I get to do this on my
Oh
podcast.
man, buddy, I've told you once, I've told you twice. It's a magical time of year when we get mathematically eliminated, right? It's like Christmas. You know it's coming, right?
I'm so glad I have that on tape now. I just wanted, that's the only reason. Haha, that was the trick. I really
There you go.
The
There's the
whole show was,
ploy.
this has all been a facade so that I can get your dorkiness on camera. And now I have it. Pranked, bro. Jamie Kennedy effect up in your face.
You got to pull for the underdog.
They're fucking underdog. Okay, there's underdog, and then there's not even like relevant to the conversation. It's not, we're not doing this. I haven't seen the New York Islanders, the entire time I have been alive, like the 27 years from when I was born to today, have not been in the Stanley Cup. I get it. They're not underdogs. They're a bad hockey team. I just like bad hockey. Like, I'm cool with that trade, except for Matthew Barzal. Barzal's been fucking killing it lately. Dude, just shot after shot. I'm going to be really sad when Seattle eventually takes him, because I know he's from there, and they're definitely, as soon as the Krakens become a team, that's like their first grab.
Well, it'll be sad to see him go.
Yeah. Anyway, this is not sports chat. I just want to take that second to dunk on my friend, because that's how our entire friendship works. As a Yankee fan, I physically cannot talk to this man for more than 5 minutes without reminding him that he ain't shit. He ain't ever gonna be shit, and that's just about it.
Well, you know, when you buy the best team, it's pretty easy to be a Yankee fan.
Now we're going to talk about, you know why you get to buy the best team? Because you were the best team, and then you got the money to continue to be the best team. If the Mets had done that in the 80s, they would have had the same salary cap.
They did it in the 80s. They did it once.
Yeah, they did it once. 27. I'm sorry to keep bringing it back to that number, but 27.
That's a prime number. I don't like it.
Jerk. Oh my God. But I'm sorry, I did not invite you on to publicly beat you down about your subpar baseball team, whose stadium may or may not be shaped like a toilet bowl.
It's okay.
It's where they put all the crap. Back to wellness and positivity. Like, I can just control those.
There's a
sides.
transition for you.
Yeah. Well, because I know one's the opposite side of my brain. So it's like New York. I just do math and I know where to find it spatially. I go back to that block. No, I think it's good that you guys were able to turn something that was so stressful, that is usually so stressful, into something positive. And I think that's really something that more people should learn from, is that, like, situations and obstacles are only situations and obstacles because you allow them to be in your brain. Like, it's all perspective. You guys took something that every couple dreads. Like, I've stand-up comedians for decades. Oh, it's the worst part. Even then I was like, oh my God, that's not, but the reality is that it could be a fun process. You just have to kind of like let it be. Yeah. And it's really as simple as that. Like, obviously it's, a lot of people would argue that it's like, well, it's not as simple as just being happy. It's not necessarily just being happy as much as it is taking that time to sit down with your emotions and be like, okay, well, this really isn't helping this come along. So, like, what will?
Well, I mean, I'm certainly not going to sit here and tell you that the solution to curing your depression is to just stop being depressed, right? That's not how this works.
That? And what if you just stop being sad all the time? Yeah. Oh man, never fucking thought of that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's definitely circumstances where, diving headfirst into a situation like what Christina and I did with planning the wedding is not the best solution.
Yeah, it's not the direct action that is the lesson as much as it is, I think, the attitude towards it.
Sure.
And applying that to the situation, because obviously if someone is not in a situation to undertake that kind of endeavor, then they shouldn't. They should figure something else out. Like right now, me and Ryan, we are planning the wedding, but we have to go very slowly because we're still kind of figuring out what the future is going to look like vis-a-vis like him going to post-grad and all that. It's not that we're not dedicated to it. It's just that we have to move at a different pace. And that's totally fine. And, we have, like I said, all of our friends are engaged right now. Everyone's at like different places with like dates and all that. All I know is I'm about to go to some pretty fucking dope weddings and I'm really excited because it's like all of my favorite people that are getting married. Funny, that's always how it works out, right? It's the people that are like stable that end up sticking around.
There you go.
But yeah, and I'm not saying that it's not hard work. Like, I'm not saying, oh, you just flip a switch and then you're better. I still have my shitty depression days. I still have my shitty depression moments. Even right before we started recording, I was fully upfront with you. I was like, today's been a day. I just got in the door. I just need like a second to have my coffee and like be alone. And then and like have some peace and quiet, and then we can jump into it. That kind of honesty, if you go about it right, can go a long way both for you and other people, because you're setting expectations where no one ever has to deal with like the grumpy, shitty version of you. Like it's okay for that person to exist, but you have to monitor how much of that you let leak into your personal life, because then it sticks around and then it becomes like this self-fulfilling prophecy. And it does, it's a lot of work. It's really fucking hard. It takes a lot of discipline. But you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, and unfortunately nobody else can do it for you. It's your own mind, it's your own mental state. You can get help. You get therapeutic help, you can talk to friends and all that. But at the end of the day, there is a certain point where personal accountability comes into place. And it's like, well, you have to choose to be happy and then figure out how to make that happen.
Yeah.
But
take those small steps first, right? If it's getting out of bed, 20 minutes earlier.
For sure. Dude,
that's what you got to do.
I will admit, as a grown, almost 30-year-old man, you know what my favorite self-care reset button thing is to do? I keep 4 bottles of Mr. Bubble in my fucking house. And anytime I'm like, yo, the world sucks right now, I go draw the gayest, most frou-frou bath you've ever seen. Like pink bubbles, the whole nine. Put Bride of Frankenstein on my phone and I set it up and I just sit there and I get baked and have the most luxurious homosexual bath you've ever seen. And then I come out of that feeling fresh as a daisy and I can take on the world again. But you have to create those things, those spaces for yourself. Sometimes it's not that. Sometimes I don't have time for that. It's something as simple as like, okay, I'm gonna get up 30 minutes early so that way I can like spend some time with this book that I really like, or just like be in the house with complete peace and quiet. You know, it's reading the situation, knowing your schedule, and finding that free time and using that whatever little free time you have, even if it's simple as like, I used to meditate on the train. Like I would like still be there, but like I'm not just like fully zoned out, but I would just like kind of take myself out of the situation. So it's all on how you handle it and figuring out what practices work. Some people like meditation, some people like exercise, dieting, some people like a combination of 3, but it does take time. It's not a magic button that fixes it. It's a lifestyle change. Unfortunately, that's just kind of, I learned at a really young age. It's just, I had generalized anxiety disorder at 11 and they were like, yep, this is just going to be, it's not going to go away. Yeah, this is you now. So you're going to have to figure out how to live with that. Yep. But thanks so much for being on, Beanie. I really appreciate you coming on the show, and thank you for helping me suss out a lot of this Wall Street jargon that makes my head throb. I really appreciate you, and obviously congrats on the upcoming wedding with Christina. Namaste. You guys are an amazing couple.
Yep. Look forward to seeing you there.
For sure. When we come back, we'll be talking to some other folks about some other things, but you're about to hear some really cool tunes, so stay tuned.
I wanna feel someone